All right, what is up, crew? Chaz here, Side Hustle Network live. We're going to do a live show tonight. Topic being pros and cons of being self-employed. So I'm gonna start this off by hanging out in the chat for a minute, and then we'll get into the topic of the night. How are you guys doing today? It's been a couple weeks since we've been on normal routine as far as the YouTube channel, so it feels good to be back in action. I am also broadcasting inside of our Amazon FBA Rockstars group, which StreamYard is still working on some stuff. So if you are in the Facebook group watching this right now, if you did not grant access to StreamYard, then it's not going to show your name if you comment. So I'm going to open Facebook up on a different page real quick. Make sure I mute my computer so we don't get any feedback coming through. All right, let's see if this works. I'm going to open up this chat so I can see who's actually in here. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you guys are watching from, how you all are doing. And we're going to dive into pros and cons of being self-employed. All right, so I got the comments pulled up on Facebook. I think we are good to go there. All right. How's it going, guys? Let's do this. Let me open up with this. Now, everything I'm about to cover as far as the topic of the night is simply based on our own experience, my own personal opinions. That's ultimately what this comes down to. So I'm going to say some things that you may not agree with or you may agree with. Either way, it doesn't affect me. This is just our experience we've had so far. Now, some context. If you are new to the channel, we've had a huge wave of people recently join the channel, so welcome in. Also, comment below if this is your first live show you have tuned into. I appreciate you all taking time to be here. So I'm going to give some context and kind of where we are, where we've been, what we're talking about here. If you are new to the channel, my name is Charles Leslie, Chaz, as most people know me by here in the interwebs. I come from a background of being a full-time massage therapist and personal trainer. My wife was a medical assistant. We both had the typical full-time jobs, and we built our side hustles on the side on top of having a regular job. So we've been there, done that. We know how that grind goes. So with that being said, fast forward 4 years to today, we are running full-time, self-employed, both of us. We both quit our jobs. The corporate worlds we're done with. So what we do now is a huge combination of different side hustles, which is why we are called Side Hustle Network, not because we rely on one source of income. We have multiple side hustles that make up our business as an entirety. So we do Amazon FBA. We have different umbrellas. So umbrella number one is the reselling world, which that's what we're known here for on this channel, is we talk a lot of reselling as far as Amazon FBA. We do eBay, Poshmark. We have local sales. That includes once a month, we open up the doors to our warehouse. We let the public in here. They do some shopping. We don't have to pay fees and shipping that way. We also have a little mini 500 square foot clothing shop that my wife Trista runs right attached to our warehouse. We do a lot of the reselling game in those different avenues. And then with that too, instead of doing a paid course or something like that, we do have two paid services, which is another stream of income for us. One is our private VIP group on Facebook. Specifically, a lot of reselling talk goes on inside of there. And then we also have our daily OA service, which is an online arbitrage leads list given to Amazon sellers. So that kind of makes up a big chunk of our business is in captured all throughout those business models. But of course, YouTube is a stream of income. We also have affiliates, whether it's Amazon affiliates. Every time you guys click on those links in the description below, we do get a very small, I'm talking like 5 or 6% kickback from lovely Amazon. So thank you for anyone who has ever supported those links. We do make a few cents per sale. So we don't make a ton of money doing that, but it does help just cover the basics of running this whole channel and the time that goes into it. So we have a lot of different side hustles that go into our main business, which is Side Hustle Network. I wanted to give that context because as I start talking about the pros and cons of being self-employed, this is all based on the fact that we run many side hustles. Now, if you have just one side hustle or one full-time gig that you do for yourself, some of these things I'm going to talk about are not going to relate to you, especially when we dive into the topic within that of how do I balance everything, right? That's a very common question, so we'll dive into that here. I just want to give some context and kind of where we are in our own business models here so that when I give out some pieces of advice. It's only going to relate to the people in similar situations. So I want to open this up and just get a poll real quick. If you're in the chat, I see we have some Facebook comments coming in too. So what's up, guys? I can see you both. We have YouTube and Facebook going at the same time here. So with that being said, let's open up with this, because I don't want this to be an hour-long live show of me just talking at you. Of course, I'm the only one on the camera right now, but I want to also open this up like a conversation style, because I'm also curious. You guys are in different situations too. So I really want to dive in and see what your guys' thoughts are too. Number one is, I need to judge the audience. Like, I need to see what we're dealing with here. How many of you are doing, of course, I'm assuming it's going to be Amazon, FBA, eBay, something reselling related, but it really can be any side hustle. I don't care if you're printing t-shirts, if you make coffee on the side for people, like whatever your side hustle is. Comment below if you are in a position where you have a job and you're working, building your side hustle. And then also for comment below so I can see how many of you are actually full-time self-employed. You don't have the regular 9-to-5 corporate job anymore. That's kind of where we were. I quit mine I just passed my 5-year mark. So I did quit. Here's a misconception people have. I don't know where this came from. People think that I got into reselling and then quit my job. That's not how it played out. If you've been a longtime follower of ours, you know that I was already self-employed doing massage therapy and personal training. But I did build my side hustles back then, were building my own clientele list of personal training clients, whether that be physically. I converted our garage into a gym at one point. I was hosting little boot camps out of there, side strip of yard, parks. And then I was also a massage therapist, renting space on top of going to my regular job as a massage therapist. So I know what it's like to have the side hustle building phase on top of the full-time job. So that's kind of where we are. But I don't know why people think I started reselling and then we quit our jobs. Trista did. She quit her job about 6 months after we started reselling. So that's a different scenario. But I'm curious to see where you guys are at too. I see we got Mr. Video Game Source up in here. What is up? Full-time job, full-time construction worker. Definitely some labor going into that. All right. And are you guys okay with this format of me pausing and making this more of a conversation between me and you guys in the chat here? I mean, if you guys prefer, I could just go down my list and hammer out my spiel, my rant, if you will, for the next 30, 40 minutes. But I'm wanting to do more of a conversation piece here with you guys back and forth. I see we got Gretchen up in the house. She is our admin, so behave. She will boot you out very quick. She's good at what she does. All right, cool. So it looks like you guys are good with a little conversation piece. So now that I kind of have an idea, it seems like a lot of people are in that position of the job and you're building your side hustle. Follow-up question. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. I'm curious too. If you have the job and you're building your side hustle, you're in that scaling phase. Do you even want to build your side hustle into your full-time gig and quit your job? Because some of you, and we're going to dive into these pros and cons here, some of you want that security of the job. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. There's many, many days, I'm going to talk about this. There's many, many days I reflect back to the days I had a regular job, and it kind of is intriguing to go back to a job sometimes. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons on why that is a thing that runs through my head sometimes. So number one, I'm just going to start throwing out some topics out there. For those of you that are self-employed, and this can be two different people that we're talking about here, so I don't care either one. I want to hear from both parties. Party number one is those of you who have the job and you have a side hustle you are building. You're completely part of this conversation too. And then the part two person is going to be the person who is full-time self-employed for themselves. I'm curious, what would you guys consider? Let's end on a good note. So let's start with the cons, shall we? I'm curious, what are some of the cons that you guys have faced with being self-employed? I'm just curious to see kind of some of the topics that get thrown out here, because that's how I can best rabbit trail into some of the methodology behind my thinking on some things. Part-time nurse, part-time clinical instructor, and trying to build my reselling in my spare time to retire from nursing in 2 years. That is amazing. That right there that's the hustle. it's doing a lot of stuff until you hit that pivot point where that scaling comes up, and then you can eventually phase out into making your side hustle a full-time hustle. All right, here we go. We're getting some good stuff in here. So let's see, we got full-time working in law enforcement. We got all kinds of cool careers in here. Yeah, I completely agree with a lot of these coming in right now. So first, stop, hit the like button if you enjoy these live shows. It helps get this channel out into more eyeballs. So we appreciate it. Thank you. So let's start with some of the cons. I'll go down the list that we have here in the chat, and then I just jotted a few things down. I don't do a lot of bullet points on these. I feel like I do my best thinking sometimes without following an actual script, but I do write some stuff down just to kind of keep me on track. And then Gretchen always has permission to nudge me a little bit if she needs to. Number one is security. I don't believe there is such a thing as security. And this can go both ways. When you have a job that is more secure in the sense that, you just show up, clock in, clock out, you get paid for the time, typically, unless you're in a sales job, something commission-based. But we're talking about time, trading time for money here. If you clock in, you trade your time for money. So you work 8 hours, you get paid every 2 weeks, right? That's kind of a more secure paycheck. But is it truly 100% secure? No. I know, and I'm sure you guys do too, plenty of people who have had a job for 10, 20, 30 years, and all of a sudden the company goes under, they go through budget cuts, something happens, and they get laid off. That's a legit thing. No matter how secure you think your position is in any company, it's not. And it works both ways, because when you go self-employed, a lot of people think like, oh, I can build my own security. In a sense, but it's going to be the same thing. Some things may come up that you are not planning on that may cause you to be the one that has to go onto a strict budget, or cause you to be the one that then has to fire an employee because of budget cuts. There's always things that can come up, especially when we're talking reselling specifically. When we talk about Amazon FBA, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, none of us own these platforms. We are fortunate enough that we can list our products, which we own, on their platforms, but a change of policy, an overnight email that gets sent out, a customer complaint, a fraudulent IP claim, any one of these things, Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, they can all boot you off their platform just like that. We've seen it happen tons of times in these Facebook groups regarding Amazon FBA, eBay, etc. We see the dreaded, I got suspended, what do I do post, right? It scares the shit out of me all the time. Just to even think about it. I know it does you guys too. So self-employment is never a truly secure thing, right? So it plays in both ways here, depending on which way you want to twist it. So that for me is probably the number one con of being self-employed. And again, framework context here, I've been self-employed for 5 years. All 5 years, even if we take reselling out of the equation, when I was doing massage therapy and personal training, I was making really good money doing that, but summertime would always drop. Nobody was wanting to work out or get massages because they are out living. They're out camping and beach trips and all this stuff with family. So a lot of people are cutting expenses during the summertime. Wintertime was great. People were indoors a lot more. People around January want to start working out more. That was great. Those were the months that I was making the most amount of income in that career. But what happened when summertime came in is, oh crap, there were many, many months where I didn't know how we were going to pay our rent. And then back then, before I knew it was a reselling thing, I was flipping iPhones to make extra cash. And back then there was no Facebook. We had Craigslist. These were early iPhone days. So it's fun to look back and see some of that progression that's happened over time. But point being, it doesn't matter if you are a massage therapist, personal trainer, if you are in the reselling game, real estate, any business model, or any other job for that matter, in my opinion, is never truly 100% secure. Sure, you can build your financial freedom and get more secure than you are now, but total security is just not anything that exists. at least in the lens that I view the world in. Number two biggest con is inconsistent income. And I saw that was one of the ones in the chat here. So I had that written down. So that's definitely going to be a common trend around here. Inconsistent income. Now you can bust your butt. And I'm talking from a perspective of where we are in our business. So again, we have reselling, we have paid services we offer. We have here on YouTube affiliates. Even with the YouTube game, everyone thinks that you can just hop on, start making AdSense money on those ads, and everything's just going to cruise and keep growing month after month. That's not the case. I've had months where I've put out more videos and made less in AdSense money, right? Because I have to look at other factors. Watch time. How long are people tuning into our videos here? If people are watching one of our videos and they're leaving after 4 minutes, I'm not making a paycheck from YouTube that month. That's for sure. Right. So inconsistent income, and that's across the board, especially reselling. Right. We all went through summer slowdown, different conversation, different video. I've done a video on that topic. Go watch it. But everyone goes through summer slowdown on the eBay side. And then of course, going into Q4 now, getting closer to Christmas, we're all going to have record setting months of the year. But then January, February, March gets back here and all of a sudden those sales come back down to normal. Right. So inconsistent income. That is definitely another big con. And if you are kind of new here and you're just now starting your side hustle, do not let any of this scare you off. By the way, we're going to end with the good stuff. It is worth it. Let me just start there. Number one question I get, is it worth it? 100%. But these are just little precautions we have to talk about, because I feel like not many people bring these conversations up in public too much, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I feel like a lot of these conversations are just kind of like put off because they're not fun to talk about. And it's a little scary when you start to dive into some of these a little bit more. So I don't want any of this to scare anyone off. We're just bringing up the conversation so you can be aware of it when you do go self-employed. But inconsistent incomes in reselling specifically, you've got to be spending a lot of capital to continue to grow. And if you have some months where, and again, this is based on our own experience, the months where maybe I've had personal stuff come up, which this is legit. I've had personal stuff over the last year of our lives pop up that required a decent amount of cash to be helping people out. And during those months where I was pulling cash from the business to help, all of a sudden I'm not reinvesting that capital. So our sales come down, which therefore I'm not making as much profit. And then it just domino effects into a very, very rough wall you get put up against. So those are legit concerns that you kind of have to be aware about, is inconsistent incomes. This brings me into kind of another kind of subtopic within that too, is I've said this before and I stand by it. And I'm curious what your thoughts and opinions are in the chat. Looking back, I wish we would have kept our jobs longer. And I say that only as much as I despised going to a job, being told when I can take lunch, when I can see my family, when I can take time off. As much as I despise that, I wish I would have held on to that job a little bit longer, and Trista as well, because when you have a job that produces the income to pay all of your personal bills and expenses, your reselling money, your side hustle money can be put 100% back into the business, and you can scale it much quicker. The second that we, quit the jobs and went all in with this whole reselling gig, the second that happened, I still had utilities to pay. I still had my house rent to pay. All of these things still had to be paid. So I didn't have my career money, which was my massage therapy and my personal training job. We didn't have Trista's paycheck to rely on anymore. So where's that money come from? It comes from the reselling business. So if we made $5,000 profit one month, in the past, if we had jobs to cover our overheads, we would have put that $5,000 back into more inventory and then scaled it even more very quickly. But all of a sudden, I'm like, well, we need $2,500 this month just to survive on food and gas and bare minimum to get by. So I take that 2,500, go pay all of our bills and our utilities, and then I'm left with 2,500 to put back into the business. Now, if you have to do that month after month, all of a sudden that quick curve of scaling slows down a little bit because you're not able to reinvest as much. So if you are in that position where you have a full-time job and you want to go full-time reselling, or even not just reselling, any side hustle, as far as that goes, that's something to keep in mind. You are going to have to start pulling from your business and paying yourself a little bit more to cover your personal expenses and your overheads under that umbrella. So that's something to keep in mind. I think it is easier to scale quicker if you have a job because you have that external income to cover your personal expenses versus just being solely full-time, because now you have to figure out how to make that much more extra per month to pull and cover your personal stuff. Yeah, and then you've got taxes, and that's a whole different complex situation. So we're not going to dive too much into taxes as far as here goes. But we do have an incredible resource, specifically reselling taxes, that we're going to bring onto the channel soon. So that's a whole nother episode we'll do for that. But those are just kind of some of my thoughts on the whole, inconsistent income and security blanket as far as that goes. Let's dive into the chat and get some of your, again, we're going to talk about all the pros. We'll get to the good stuff because the good stuff typically outweighs the bad stuff. The bad stuff, it's just a little scary sometimes. All right, let me scroll down, see if we can find where the beginning started at. Sourcing good items can be tough. Absolutely. And that's another thing to think about too, is if you have a job, and I'm going to say that a lot because I know it's in the position a lot of you are in right now. If you have a job and you are doing well for yourself, if you're making, $1,000 per month, $2,000, $5,000 a month on the side, if you want to go full time and you need to double or triple that income from reselling, you've got to figure out, how can I double and triple my inventory, and how can I keep that inventory stream consistent? Because especially if we're talking about the standard beginner phase is going to thrift stores and garage sales and selling that stuff on eBay. Great money to be made, amazing ROI. But if you want to go full time, are you able to go because of your schedule? Maybe you have family, kids, etc. Are you able to go out and source 3, 4, 5 stores every single day to double and triple your inventory? Because if not, then you need to look at other avenues of inventory. Maybe you start going to local auctions and getting mass amounts of inventory that way. Maybe you start sourcing wholesale online, working direct with brands online. If we're talking about Amazon FBA, wholesale, private label, all these different avenues. So these are things to think about. So sourcing consistent good inventory is definitely a tough thing. Unless you start to get brand exclusives and scale that private label business. Those are a little bit more passive than going out and physically driving around, which is retail arbitrage, thrift stores, etc. All right, let's keep on diving down this list here. Yeah, health insurance, that's another con. If you've got, this was our position where Trista should have held on to her job longer because we didn't have her benefits to live on anymore. So we had to start paying out of pocket for our own insurance. So if you guys are in that position, you have to weigh out, are the benefits good enough to justify keeping that job? And I've known some people that have such an amazing setup where they legit only need to go to their job 2 days a week and they have full coverage on all their stuff, which I think is amazing. I would contemplate doing that if that were an option around here. Seasons. Yeah, absolutely, Josh. You got to look at seasons when it comes to, again, talking about Q4 summer slowdown. You have to be prepared for those seasons, for those waves of sales to come in and out. Especially, I feel like if you diversify your products and you are selling a wide variety of categories, I feel like you're going to be a lot more stable through the year. If you look at a chart, you're probably going to be a lot more stable. But if you sell one specific type of product, one category, you're probably going to see those waves a little bit more than someone that's selling across the board. Ultimately, if you are selling products that are in demand, then you are going to be winning. All right, don't mind me. I'm just scrolling down here, make sure I hit some of the big ones. All right, any other? All right, here we go. I missed a chunk. Not having enough hours in the day. I can definitely relate with that one. Let's talk about that one. Not having enough hours in the day. It's especially in a position like where we are. And again, a lot of this is coming from our own context here. Some of you are in different positions. I'm in a position where, we've got the YouTube channel, we've got multiple Facebook groups, we have multiple paid Facebook groups, which are services. So that requires its own chunk of time every single week. And then we've also got the reselling side, which again, we do a couple different types of local sales, a brick and mortar, our warehouse sale. I sell a lot in Facebook Marketplace. And then we have eBay and Amazon. And then Trista also does Poshmark. So we've got a lot of moving parts. And I used to try to do them all in one day. I used to try to touch base on every single thing we do as far as a business. I used to try to touch each thing every day, and I got so burnt out. And then I learned for myself, I work best if I have one task to focus on. So then I started splitting things up. So I might on a Monday, let's use yesterday as an example. So yesterday, I don't even know what today is. Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday. We're going live right now. Again, another con, you forget what freaking day it is sometimes when you're self-employed. So Monday yesterday, Amazon FBA was all that was on my radar. I did some other stuff, but Amazon was my absolute priority because I had a big chunk of stuff. I have been doing retail arbitrage for a few weeks, and I've been just compiling the shipment together until I had enough products to send in. I had almost 100 units, which in my mind is a solid little tiny shipment. So I got my 100 units. They all had clearance stickers and crap on them. So they took way longer than they should have, but I'm sitting here peeling all that stuff off. That was my priority. And before that, I was emailing wholesalers or potential wholesalers. So I'm reaching out to distributors and brands to try to open up wholesale accounts. So yesterday was a big focus on Amazon FBA. I did not touch, aside from the eBay shipping and a few tweaks on some listings, I didn't touch eBay much yesterday. I was on Instagram. I don't remember what I was doing yesterday on Instagram. I did like a Q&A chat on our Instagram, so I did some of that stuff, but I really did not dive into my inboxes at all. I didn't touch my inbox on Instagram, my Facebook inbox, my YouTube inbox and notifications, my emails. I didn't touch hardly any of that yesterday. Then I switched gears yesterday, now that all the Amazon stuff is done almost for the whole week, I'm not even thinking about Amazon right now. Then today was a lot more of the accounting / what I just call back end work, the computer work. So instead of physical labor stuff, which is eBay photos, Amazon shipping, that kind of stuff, I did a lot more behind the scenes work today. So it was a very productive day, but a lot of you wouldn't be able to tell because it was all behind the scenes, right? So I laid out a whole content schedule of all the upcoming videos I'm doing here on the channel. I laid out a bunch of video topics I'm going to record. I got a lot of our eBay accounting done and caught up. I did a lot of our Instagram stuff behind the scenes, DMing people back and all that. I caught up on all of our support emails. All the stuff behind the scenes that needed to be done was done. So I've learned to segment out per day what I'm going to focus on, and that's helped me out tremendously just from a stress standpoint, not scattering myself so thin. So back to the topic of not having enough hours in the day, I would definitely recommend that is a huge con. I would definitely recommend trying to segment out daily tasks instead of trying to do everything per day. At least that's what has helped me out. All right, so and then I am going to open up and just do random Q&A. So any questions you have regarding Amazon, eBay, reselling in general, YouTube, I don't care what the question is. We'll open that up in just a minute. So those have been some of the cons. I would say the other con, and then this will transition into the pros. So go ahead and comment below while I chit chat for a minute. What are some of the pros that you guys have experienced about running a side hustle or being self-employed full-time? And then we'll dive into that. This one I put in both columns. Here's why. It's accountability. The con of being self-employed with accountability is the fact that you truly have none aside from yourself. So unless you are a very self-driven person, you understand commitment, which means you show up and do the work no matter how you feel. That's committing to something. When you commit to your business, you show up every single day. That's extremely difficult to do. And that's why I put it on the cons list, because when you have to be accountable to a boss, that's not hard because they will fire your ass if you don't show up and clock in. Or if you show up late enough times, you're going to get written up, warning, notice, whatever it is your job will do. But being accountable when you have a job, not that hard because you know you'll get fired. You have a fire lit under your butt to show up every single day. Now, where it's a pro is your income is directly reflected on your results. So it's almost in a turn its own accountability. Let me dive a little bit more into that. When I don't show up and I don't do the work, I'm not going to make anything. If I don't go out and source, if I don't do eBay photos, if I don't make the eBay listings, if I don't ship the Amazon FBA products, if I don't make videos here on YouTube, I'm getting money from nowhere. So that in its own self keeps me accountable to show up and do it. And that's how I've become self-driven to keep doing this and stay consistent. That's why I kind of put it in both columns. I don't know if that made any sense to anyone else except for up here. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on the whole accountability thing with pros and cons. And then, yeah, I've definitely got Trista in line. So yeah, don't mess with her. And of course, if you have a spouse, a business partner, creating your own accountability is a huge benefit. So that definitely goes under the pros column. Creating your own accountability with a business partner, a spouse. I'm telling you, you guys, some of you need to just hit up some of the Instagram people that you follow and talk to each other. That can be your accountability right there. That could be a huge accountability for some of you. Accountability is everything. It's truly the glue. I've learned that more and more about myself. I'm very self-driven where I don't, hold on, pause. Can you guys hear that fridge buzzing? Because if so, I'm going to just unplug that thing. It keeps the condenser on that thing is super, it's not super loud, but it's enough buzz to catch my attention. So if it's coming through the mic, I need to turn it off. So with that being said, accountability is huge. I've learned more and more that it's the glue in everything. If you show up and you want to lose 50 pounds and you have no accountability for the gym or your nutrition, chances are you are not going to make it more than 30 or 60 days, right? You can be motivated for a few weeks. That's easy. It's so easy to do things when you feel like doing it. That's called being motivated. Motivation is a temporary state of mind. Motivation is like being super happy and excited about news you just got. But then chances are the next day, your attitude, your state of mind comes back down to neutral. Maybe you just got some bad news and you're pissed off, you're angry. Chances are in a couple weeks, you're back to neutral. Your state of mind is neutral. So a lot of people, they wait to feel motivated to do something. So they're excited. And when you are excited, you tend to set these huge goals for yourself that in reality you're not going to achieve because you're not committing to the accountability aspect of it. And that makes a huge difference when you start to just show up and do the small things every single day and hold yourself accountable to it. I don't care if it's through if it's another person, if it's an app, whatever the case may be that holds you accountable, that accountability is your glue. I feel like I could do a whole hour session just on accountability. So I'm just going to move on to the next one. Getting into the pros section. Let's talk about that pros section now. What do you guys think the pros are of self-employment? Because I just talked about a lot of the like not so fun, kind of scary stuff. And real quick, because I completely forgot to bring it up, the other big con, especially in the beginning, like as you build your business and it grows to a point where it's making income and you kind of figure out ways to, maybe it's hiring staff virtually or physically, maybe it's using a different tool or resource or a course, something that helps streamline something. When you get to that point, you don't have to work kind of as many hours, but in the beginning, probably one of the biggest cons of self-employment or building a side hustle are the hidden hours. Those are the hours that nobody's going to see except for you and your family. Your family's not going to understand it in the beginning. So for those of you that are brand new to this whole side hustle reselling gig, listen up. You have to sit down with your family and have a conversation. Some of you, it's just a boyfriend or girlfriend or a spouse or your kids involved too, whatever the case may be. This is a conversation I had to have with Trista, and you guys all know Trista by now. If you're new and you don't know, it's my wife. She's 1000% on board. She's the business partner in this. This isn't my business she's helping out with. This is our business. But that took a while to happen. So in the beginning, when she saw me out in the garage until 1 or 2 in the morning, almost every night, breaking down pallets of liquidation items to then resell online, she didn't understand that. She just knew I was spending money that she did not see come back very quickly. And 2, I was spending a lot of time in that garage because we didn't have the warehouse in the beginning. It was in our garage for 2 years. It was late nights. It was early mornings because I was still working on massage therapy and personal training clients full time. I was still doing 40 hours a week doing my main career. So your hidden hours, you have to have a conversation with your family, sit down with them and say, hey, if I'm going to make this work, and you have to be on board with me, if I'm going to make this work in a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever the case may be, I can turn this into something that basically buys our time freedom. We can, if this is your goal, we can quit our jobs. We can do this full time. We can set our own schedules. We can be with the kids. We can do what we want. We can travel. Those are conversations you have to have with your family in the beginning, because in that conversation, you're going to say this. Now, in order to scale this side hustle, I have to have some chunk of time to work on it. And this is where Tristan and I had that conversation. And it was because we had at the time, of course, Isla, our newest one, she's only 5 months old. But 4 years ago, we had at the time, he was 1 year old, Titus. So we had Ty, he was a 1 year old. He needed a lot of attention, especially in those like learning how to walk phases and stuff like that. I had to have that conversation with her. Would you prefer for me to work late at night or early in the morning? And so it was kind of a mixed load for me. You guys need to figure that out for yourselves. But I say hidden hours because you have to be willing to work late in the night, which I think most entrepreneurs do anyways, late in the night, or you have to be willing to get up early or do it on your lunch break. But you have to know ahead of time, what are my windows that I have available to me, that 1, I'm not going to get in trouble by the spouse, and 2, I'm going to be able to be productive in those hours, right? Don't try to work until midnight if you know you're just like not with it mentally and you're going to make a bunch of mistakes. Try early mornings before you go to your job. I know that sounds crazy, but there were mornings I woke up at 5 a.m. and I worked on our Amazon business for an hour and a half. And then I started working on my regular massage therapy clients. And then other times I get done with clients at 6 or 7 p.m. I'd have dinner, hang out with my family and my kid for a couple hours. He went to bed at 9. And then from 9 to 2 a.m., that was my grind time for my side hustle, which then was becoming Amazon eBay. So hidden hours, that's right up there with the whole security thing. I think those are neck and neck as far as the cons list goes. But in the beginning, you have to put in those hidden hours or you will not make it. And they're going to be tough. They're going to be very, very tough. So definitely recommend you know ahead of time which windows of time that you have to dedicate to it. Does that make sense, or did I just like ramble about a bunch of nothing? Hopefully you guys are still with me here. I appreciate you taking the time. Going into the pros list, we're done with the cons. Are we all in agreement here that, yeah, there's a lot of crappy stuff that comes with being self-employed, running a business. There's a lot of headaches and fires. You are responsible for everything. Even if something goes wrong, that's not your fault. It's your fault. That's called being a business owner. Half the time you're putting out fires or just taking blame for something that happened. So especially when you get to the point of having employees, like if I have, which has happened several times, if I have one of my employees mess up on something, whether it be a shipping or like not packaging an item well enough to go to a customer and the customer complains, hey, the item broke in shipping, it was horrible packaging. I raise my hand and go, I'm so sorry. I packaged that myself. It was my fault. Let me resolve that for you. You have to be willing to take the hits. So that's the cons. Let's switch gears now. Let's talk about the good stuff. First and foremost, the one aspect of this entire thing that makes me say, yes, it is worth all of it, especially 4 years deep into this. Every single hour that I had to work into the night, every single hour or every single day, every single time that I had to miss a family event, families get together for birthday dinners and beach trips and camping. I've had to miss a lot of those in those 4 years. Now that goes on a cons list. You have to sacrifice a lot of time sometimes that those people are not going to understand. There's a lot of times I'm sure Trista's family was not loving me a whole lot because I was saying no to a lot of stuff, because I had to put the time into our business in the beginning to make it sustainable. I had to build the foundation first, and then I can enjoy that time. Okay, it's stuff people aren't going to understand. After all that was said and done, the one reason I can say, yes, it is all worth it, and I will continue to do it, is because I can set my own schedule. That's all that matters to me. I don't even care about the money aspect. Yes, you need money, especially when you're building a business. You need to make a surplus of money to put back into savings, to pay off your debts, to be able to go to travel. You need money to do all that. Yes, I'm going to continue building the business to make the money. But at the end of the day, it's what are you going to use the money for? I want to control my time. I want to be able to choose on a Tuesday at 2:00 in the afternoon to call Trista, which we've done several times, and say, hey, babe, are you busy right now? No, what's up? You want to go to the beach? It's an hour drive. And we've just straight up left and went to the beach for the day. It's been amazing. I want days like today. I left the house at 7:30, 7:45, somewhere in there. I went to the gym. I went out to our local little Goodwill and our Walmart and tried to do a little bit of sourcing. I got here to the office at probably about 10. From 10 to 1, I was in work mode. I didn't touch my phone. I didn't text anyone back. I didn't touch Instagram. I was in work mode. Then at 1:00, I was able to go home. I was able to kick Trista out of the house because I have to kick her out of the house sometimes and force her to do stuff for herself because she was hanging out with both of our kids today, that's not a task for us, right? It's our own kids. We love hanging out with them, but she spends a lot more time with them than I do because one of us has to spend time with them so the other can work. So we've come up with a tag team system. So today, without telling any boss, without reporting to anyone, without getting shift coverage, all that shit I've done, not fun. I was able to at 1:00 just clock out of my office here, go home, which we live 5 minutes down the road. And I was able to say, hey, babe, I got the kids for a couple hours. You just go to Goodwill, like go thrift or go do something. Just get out of the house. So she went and did her. I don't even know what she did today. She went and did her thing for a couple hours. And I hung out at the house with my kids for 3 hours. My toddler, now 5-year-old Titus, he went upstairs, took a nap. So I'm like, all right, that one's down. And then I hung out with our little one, Isla, who's 5 months. So I got those baby snuggles on my lunch break. And I planned on only staying for 2 hours. And then after that, Trista got home and I was like, I'm just going to hang out. I'm kind of enjoying this right now. So I just put my feet up. I did not do anything but hang out with them for another hour after that. And then 4:30 came around. I'm like, oh crap, I got a YouTube live show, which is right now. So you guys are the only reason I got up off that couch, snuggling with my baby to come and hang out, which I have no problem with because I love being here hanging out with you guys. But that's a prime example of why it is all worth it. If you get to the point where you can control your schedule and you don't have to get shift coverage. I remember back at my last job as a massage therapist, if I wanted a day off for a doctor's appointment, for a family event, whatever the case may be, I had to put in a request 4 weeks in advance in hopes that I can get it covered. That, not okay. That's no way to live a life. So for me, it comes down to my schedule. If I can spend time with who I want to spend time with, when I want to spend time with them, that is all that matters to me. I will work into the night. I will do all the stuff around what needs to happen in order for me just to like take breaks and go do whatever the hell I want to do. So that's been my number one as far as the pros go of being self-employed. And that one thing has made it worth every single night, every single morning, every single sacrifice, every single tear. Because trust me, if you have not cried at least one time in the building of your business phase, you've not been through enough shit yet. And it's coming, but it's been worth every single bit of it. Number two, I'm just going to hammer through these and we'll do a little open Q&A for you guys too. Number two that's been worth it is the fact that, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around this sometimes too, because I say that, it's not about the money for us, which it's not, but I also don't hate the idea of potentially making $1 million in a year, which used to be a number that was almost laughed at. You see these YouTube ads and different, entrepreneur ads that pop up and stuff like that. I'll show you how to make $1 million in a year. I remember being a massage therapist. And back then, if you were doing really, really well, you were making between 60 and 80K a year for yourself, which I was in that range. So back then I remember seeing these people like, oh, you can make $1 million in a year. And I remember almost just laughing like that's unimaginable as far as the number goes. That's too many commas for me to be comfortable with. But now that we're self-employed, and I was thinking in terms, let me back up real quick. I was thinking in terms back then of, I was trading time for money. So let me get everyone on the same page. As a massage therapist, I had to have a client on the table and me working on them and then kick them out. And then I'd get paid anywhere from in a job setting on a high-end spa level, you're getting paid about $40 to $50 per massage. Then I went self-employed and I was set my own prices. So I was now making $65 to $75 per hour for a massage. Great money to be made, but it was time for money. There were days I worked on 6 clients. So if I'm charging $60 to work on those 6 clients, including tip, I could clear $400 or $500 on some days. That wasn't uncommon. But then the next day, I could have one person that booked with me and I would get paid $60 plus like a $10 or $20 tip. So that, again, inconsistent income, that goes back to that. But point being, I was trading time directly for money. If I didn't have clients on the table, there was no way for me to make a paycheck. I tried to sell essential oils and all that kind of crap to them. Some of them bought some stuff, but I'm making like $6 profit on one of those. Good job. And it just wasn't enough to fill those gaps. I was trading time for money. So when I hear these terms of like, you can make $1 million in a year, if you're trading time for money, you're limited. You have a cap on how many hours you can physically work in order to increase your revenue, your income. And as a massage therapist, I was calculating, like, if I work on 6 clients a day, 6 times a week, and I'm making 80 grand in a year, like the number $1 million, you can now understand why it was so hard for me to wrap my head around that. There's no way I can work on that many clients to make $1 million. I would have to open up a franchise and hire other massage therapists to work underneath my license and stuff like, or not license, but my rental space or whatever. I would have to outsource. So that's why it was so hard for me to wrap my head around making $1 million in a year. And then I became self-employed in this world where all of a sudden I realized the biggest pro in this, yes, you can create your own schedule, but the biggest pro was the fact that now you have no cap on your income. Because depending on your business model in this whole reselling world, Amazon, eBay, etc., depending on your business model, you're not always trading time for money. Now, if you are going to thrift stores and doing retail arbitrage and sending a bunch of product in, you have less of a cap than before trading directly time for money. So you can only work so many hours to get so much income. But now when you do retail arbitrage or thrift stores, yes, you are still limited on your time you can spend in those stores. But now you have another category where you now don't have a limit on how many products you can buy within that time. So if in an hour you can source 100 products one day, 500 in the next day, retail arbitrage style, great. You're going to do way better than trading direct time for direct money. Now that's kind of like the middle ground. And then ultimately you get into private label wholesale. You don't have that cap anymore. You can make one phone call to a supplier and you can make $50,000 on an order. There's no longer a cap depending how you work at your business model. I'm trying to speak a little bit more broad on this because y'all are in way different categories and business models than each other. So I'm trying to speak to the masses a little bit here. So let me know in the comments, is this making any sense as far as the point I'm trying to deliver? Your income potential is unlimited when you become self-employed in this world, especially when you get into the other side. So that was a lot of reselling specific. When you get into the other side, which is digital stuff, there's truly no cap. When you get into YouTube, affiliate marketing, if you create a course, there's a reason people come out with courses. It's extremely scalable. You typically do the work up front one time to create the videos or the guides or whatever the case may be, and you can get paid over and over and over, month by month, year after year on the same content. So even if you spent 6 months creating a course, even if you spent 6 months creating something, a digital product, a digital service, it would ultimately be worth it because that 6 months of work will pay you for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And ultimately, if you scale that with Facebook ads and marketing, you can make $1 million. There's plenty of people who have made $10 million plus just on digital courses and advertisement stuff like that. There's unlimited potential when you get self-employed. Unlimited, especially in reselling, right? The whole private label game, wholesale, that's like end game. That's high level stuff. You want to be focusing on and getting your goal to be there, because that's where you're going to be spending a lot less time for money. And then it becomes the opposite. You're only working an hour or two a day, and you can potentially make what you used to make full time in a whole year working for a job. Those are like the kind of the tier systems as far as how my head got wrapped around the whole income potential. So now you guys can kind of see a little bit more context on why it's been so hard for me to wrap my head around making $1 million in a year, because I come from a whole career and background of trading my time for money. I physically could not make $1 million if I wanted to in that business. I was a damn good massage therapist. I was really good at what I did. Now that I have the knowledge I have, if I can go back in time, I would have started creating tutorial videos. I would have become one of the course teachers. I would have created digital content guides. I would have created tools. I would have done private label tools for massage therapists. There's a whole world I didn't even know existed back then that I could have utilized to make $1 million. But when I was trading direct time for money, that was impossible. There was no way I can physically put my hands on that many people to make $1 million. And now I've learned to kind of restructure and like break apart that old mindset. And I'm still building the new one to wrap my head around the potential that we have in our own business. Vicky says, I was at work today crying in pain and continued to work in a factory. I've been advised to file for disability, but I refuse. I'm working on my resell on the side, trying to get it to scale for full-time. Vicky, I've been there. I've not worked in a factory, but I have vivid memories I'll never forget of being a massage therapist. And a lot of people have a misconception about the whole massage therapy industry where they're like, oh, your hands and your forearms must hurt all the time. It's like, no, they actually feel fine. I never had carpal tunnel because I had really good body mechanics. So I never had carpal tunnel, no wrist or forearm issues. My shoulders and my back, though, because I used a lot of, my shoulder strength to push into clients. I specialize in trigger point therapy, myofascial release, and deep tissue. I worked on a lot of sports guys, construction workers, really tough clients to work on. And I had to apply physical pressure down on them for an hour and then do that 6 times a day. So I had days where my back would just be the same thing. I've shown up physically in tears before. And I remember one specific time going into the boss's office, my back was hurting so bad. And I worked on this one client that just needed like super deep pressure. And I was at my breaking point. Like I just wanted to leave my job that day and just never come back. I went to my boss's office. I'm like, hey, I've got And I was not a complainer at all. I sucked it up and dealt with it. And I went into the office. I'm like, I'm not a complainer, but my back is extremely painful right now. I've got a rib out. I've got something going on in here. It's just not okay. I hate to cancel clients, but I cannot work the rest of the day. And she told me to basically suck it up and finish the shift. And that was one of those breaking points in my mentality where I was like, I need to figure out how I can become my own boss, because I'm never dealing with this again. So Vicky, I feel you on that. I know what it's like to show up in pain and do that. Now, I don't know your situation. I'm not taking away from that at all. But again, without knowing more specifics about your situation, I don't have much actual advice I can give you. We can talk privately if you'd like to. You can always email me, hit me up on Instagram, but you've got to figure out what you need to do to scale that side hustle so that you can leave that type of job, unless they're willing to work with you on cutting back hours, like whatever they can work with you on. Okay. Car accident, what we call MVA, motor vehicle accident, MVA, messed up cervical spine, which is the neck. I work on an automotive plant. I have no range of motion because of the work I do. I feel like, that's tough. I've worked on many, many clients that have been in a motor vehicle accidents, messed up cervical spines. I've worked on many, many clients that have been there, done that. So go see a massage therapist, get to a chiropractor, like do those self-care things. Of course, that's the first thing I can give you advice on, because that was my career. That was my specialty. I was an expert in that. I cannot call myself an expert in reselling because I'm not, but I can call myself an expert in that field of injury recovery, the physical body. That is something I have a little bit of knowledge on, but I would definitely recommend self-care, all kinds of methods. You can direct message me. We can talk more about different techniques and stuff you can work on that for. The last pro, and then I know it's at an hour right now, so thank you all for tuning in. And then I'll open up like 15 minutes of Q&A for you guys. The last pro for us has been the variety. I do love the variety that we get in our business. Our business, again, is made up of reselling, paid services. We also have the YouTube. We don't get paid directly from Instagram, but it's like building our personal brand. So Instagram, I consider part of our business. And then I also consider, YouTube is obviously a stream of income. So YouTube video creation, and just getting into all the things we do, the variety is awesome. I don't know about you guys, but I get bored very, very easy on just focusing on one thing. And I get that I'm leaving a lot of money on the table by not focusing on just one side hustle and really blowing that up and then working on others. That's the advice I give people. I don't follow it all the time. I just love the variety. I love every little thing that we do. And that's why it's a huge pro for me to be self-employed, because I have the freedom to say, you know what? I do want to do these side hustles, and I do want to give them each a little bit of time each day, or I can focus one day at a time for each one. And there's some weeks where I don't touch eBay for an entire week, or Amazon for an entire week, or even YouTube for a couple weeks, because I might just be thoroughly enjoying another thing, right? There's times when I'm in specific Facebook groups a lot more than usual, because in that moment, I want to be in there. That's where I kind of follow where that passion goes. Which again could be biting me in the butt. I'm sure it is in some aspects as far as scalability goes, but self-employment, man, you get to do the shit that you love on your schedule. That's what it comes down to. It's worth every single con that we mentioned inside of this here. That's my spiel. I'm done. Let's do a little Q&A session for you guys. How are you guys doing? Still here? Got 100 people watching, so you guys are bored enough to be here, I guess. Did anyone get anything out of that? I always want to just at least one person get one tiny little thing out of each show. All right, let's scroll back up here, dive in. How's this StreamYard working out, by the way? Is everyone, so StreamYard is awesome, because I don't love the video quality because my face is all like bright and weird, like pixelate. I don't know. They could work on the video quality. I know it's in beta phase, which is fine. But I love the fact that I can now blast a YouTube live stream onto YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So for those of you in the Facebook group, which is FBA Rockstars, are you guys loving the fact that, one, I'm kind of back in here doing some content again like I used to, and two, we can hit two birds with one stone. It's great. I don't have to set up like another night to do a live show. I can be efficient with it. All right, let's hit about 15 minutes of Q&A for you guys. And then we have a warehouse sale that we are setting up for, which starts Friday. So I kind of got to set up for that. Which fortunately, Trista is awesome. Yesterday when I was doing the FBA stuff, she was in here she was unboxing a pallet full of stuff. So we've got a lot of like candles and home goods stuff. So it's all organized. I just need to set up the rows of tables, all that good stuff. Speaking of Facebook groups, can I get approved to be in yours? Yes. So with that being said, I need to follow up with my website guy, but we do have openings inside of our VIP group opening up tonight. I don't know exactly what time. We're working on one website thing. Once that's done, the link goes up. It's going to be up for probably 2 or 3 days, and then it's closed off for another 6 months. We only open up those slots every single 6 months. We have roughly 40 to 50 spots open right now, and those usually fill up within those 2 days that we do open it up. So if you want to get in on that, the best ways to follow my Instagram, which is the Side Hustle Network. And then I'll also do a post on Facebook as well. So again, it's $20 a month. Again, I'm not a salesman. I'm not going to sit here and put you in a sales funnel and all that crap. It's $20 a month. You get plugged in with a badass community. I post weekly bolos. I'm specifically going out retail arbitrage, not even for our own business growth necessarily. Yeah, I'm still selling product, but I'm going out there to hunt for product for bolos I can post inside of that group every single week. So that's been a huge benefit of it. We host weekly accountability calls every single Wednesday night. So it's not just me on video, it's all of us. So you all get video cameras and we all hold each other accountable, and we bring topics, guest speakers there inside of there every single week. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys want in, hit me up on Instagram. You can shoot me a DM and I'll direct message you the link when it's up. And I'll also do another post on Instagram as well. All right. What's up, Chelsea? Yeah, she's been a long time follower here. Is the retreat still on? As of now, no. There's a few behind the scenes things going on that I can't quite announce yet. I wish I could, but I can't. So it kind of interfering with the whole retreat thing. We will be doing some type of small getaway, but it's not going to be a full-on conference like I wanted to host, which we've done before, and I love hosting those. There's just a lot of prep and time and resources that go into that we just don't have right now. What's my favorite store to source from? It comes in waves. There's been a wave recently of like Target has been clearancing out very specific items that I've just been demolishing and going out just for Target stuff. So right now I'm in a Target phase, but then I go through phases where Target sucks on their stuff going out, and then Walmart's doing great. So I kind of bounce from store to store. I'm trying to think. I do some other stores I can't say here publicly. If you're in the VIP, quick plug, if you're in the VIP group, you get access to all the different stores I love to source at and the different products I love to flip, because it's all posted in bolo form in there. What program do I use to edit videos? I actually still use iMovie, which sucks. It's very basic. I'm extremely limited to any type of cool editing and transitions I can do. But it's quick and easy, and I just haven't taken the time to learn Premiere Pro yet, which is the next up program that I actually have it. I just got Photoshop. I'm learning Photoshop right now. So next phase is to learn Premiere Pro so I can get a lot more fancy with my vlogs and footage and stuff like that. James, heck yeah, man. Fly on out here. And that's always an open invite for anyone. If you guys ever want to come to Oregon and just chill at the office, like bring some stuff to work on if you want, like it's my door is open for anyone. I've put that offer out there, and a few people took me up on it before, where they come and chill at the office. We have a great time. Yeah, my doors are always open for you guys. If you ever want to take the time, especially for those of you that are going to drive a decent amount to get here, which some people have done, or if you're going to hop on a plane to come out here, heck yeah. I'll get you lunch. I'll buy you dinner. We'll have some beers. It'll be a good time. Chaz, looking for an answer for this. What software app is your go-to for checking sell-through rates? I'm just using Terapeak now. Yeah, we usually just mess around with Terapeak, unless you want to manually go through, like look at how much you've sold, divide, you can do all the division stuff, go from there. We don't use any softwares or apps for sell-through rate stuff, though. Yeah, at one point, the FBA Rockstars had 6,000 members. That's when Chelsea came in here. And at one point, I started the FBA Rockstars group with 5 people. I directly messaged 4 other people to say, hey, I'm starting a little group, just as basic FBA stuff. And we would post back then it was, the wild, wild west. There was no IP claims or all that crap. So we were posting pictures of our liquidation pallets we were buying. We'd post pictures of our shopping carts. There was no hiding what the products were, with 5 people. But then it grew, and now we've got 50,000 in there. So it's a little bigger. Hey, cool. Moving to Oregon from Texas. What is up, Teddy? How can you shoot me a message and let me know when you're going to be in the area and what day you want to chill, and I'll let you know if we're free. My average work day, I'm in and out a little bit because I go back home for my lunch breaks, and now I'm in this phase of I do like 3 or 4 hours in the morning here at the office. I take about 3 hours off, and I just chill at the house with my kids and my wife. Maybe I'll do a little bit of computer work from the house, and then I come back here and put in a couple more hours for the evening. But yeah, you guys can hit me up on inbox, whether it's email chaz@sidehustlenetwork.com or my Instagram, which is the Side Hustle Network, because somebody took Side Hustle Network, which they don't even use. So I need that account. If anyone has access to getting Instagram accounts, I want that account. Beaverton. Yep. That's about 45 minutes away. Yeah. Beaverton's part of my loop, my sourcing loop. You got some good stores up there, so you're going to a good spot. I've applied but haven't gotten approved as of yet. It's been 2 weeks. Maybe I did something wrong. Shoot me a direct message, especially if it's on Facebook. You'll have just look up Charles Leslie. That's my Facebook. And you can message me there as well if you need help getting into one of the groups. I do know that the FBA Rockstars group has like 500 pending requests right now, which we go through and sort through those. So I'm going to hit that tonight. What do you think about the Amazon affiliate program? It's decent, unless you are getting affiliate links through higher end items like camera equipment and video gear and stuff like that. You're not going to make much. Like I have Dymos and different printers and labels and all that in our Amazon affiliate store, which thank you to anyone who's ever purchased through one of those links. That does give us a 5 to 6% commission kickback. But I sell the most of, because you can do a cool breakdown and see how many units of everything you've sold throughout the whole year. And I've sold a ton of Scotty peelers, which I find hilarious, but I make like 30 something cents on a Scotty peeler sale, which I appreciate. Thank you. But yeah, don't go into Amazon affiliates expecting to make bank unless you are scaling high-end tech stuff and review channels on cameras and stuff like that. All right. I've got time for like 2 or 3 more questions. And then I got to hop off of here, set up our warehouse sale, and then I'm going to go put my feet up and play some Xbox because I'm self-employed and I feel like it. Did I pick up the NBA figures clearance at Walmart? They were on my list. I have not gone out this week. Usually I've been going out twice a week. It has been Tuesday, Thursdays. Today, I needed to get on my computer and catch up on a bunch of online work. So today was kind of my catch-up day. I'm not going to be able, and we're hosting our warehouse sale. Now that I think about it, this is real life, is struggling when I can get out and source. We have our warehouse sale Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Halloween is going on Thursday, which we have, of course, we have a 5-year-old. So we've got Halloween stuff starting at like 2:00. So maybe Thursday morning I can get out and do some sourcing. And then tomorrow I'm off the grid tomorrow. So I actually don't know if I'm going to get out and do much retail arbitrage this week now that I think about it. What game on Xbox? I've actually been crushing Apex. That's been it's funny. I don't know. I just did not like that game at all the first couple weeks I even tried it. And I don't know what clicked, but I think it's when you get better at something and start seeing good results, you're more inclined to do it more. So I'm not great, but I'm getting decent at Apex. So I've been crushing on that one lately. What do I do to unwind after sorting and listing? Xbox. I come from a gaming background. Those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that at one point I had gained 70 pounds playing friggin' WoW and Halo 2 and all that crap. I was a gamer 10 hours a day. Like I'd play until 4 or 5 in the morning. It was horrible. So now I limit myself now though. It's like an hour and a half at a time. And that's only after that's my wife. It's Trista and I's agreement. I'm only allowed to touch that Xbox if I can show her my to-do list for the day and it's done. So there's days where she's like, hey, did you get this stuff done? And she'll be like, no. Or no, she'll ask me if I got my checklist done. I'll tell her no. And then she'll tell me like, hey, you can't play the Xbox. And like, that's an agreement we had. So it works out. How awesome are our VIP peeps? They are friggin' awesome. Love that group. For the Horde. I was Alliance. I tried Horde a couple times, but I don't know. It was the good guy in me. I had to stick with Alliance. Yeah, Halo 2 is a legit addiction. Never got into even 1. I didn't play 1 a whole lot. Of course, 1 came out and it was just like the thing. So of course played it. There's something about Halo 2. I love that one. Somebody said I'm skipping over them. Let me scroll back up. In case you guys don't know, the chat kind of moves quick, so I don't physically see every single comment. Let me scroll up, see if I can. Wait, you super chatted too? Okay, so StreamYard does not highlight super chats, is what I just figured out. So let me scroll up and see where this happened. Because that is not okay. On the YouTube side, it will highlight. Hold on. Got to make sure our people are taken care of. I do apologize for that. I'm going to put in a ticket or support or something with StreamYard. Oh, okay. I do not like that. It shows it as a comment, but it doesn't highlight it at all. So huge shout out. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Said, got a 39 book set. Holy cow. 150 pounds. How do I ship to FBA since it's over 50 pounds? Listing over 100 Marvel figures on eBay. You think I should open a store? I would only recommend you open a physical store if you have a consistent supply of inventory, especially if you're going for more like the retro store figures and retro games and stuff like that. It can't just be open up the grand opening, sell all your stuff, and then you go, well, crap, I'm out of stuff. So you have to have a consistent source in order to open up a store. It was the same thing when we opened up a clothing shop. We had to have consistent ways to get more clothing, not just sell what we currently had. But I would recommend try maybe a garage sale. We do a warehouse sale because we have the warehouse, but you can go set up at a flea market, something like that. But if they're worth money on eBay, absolutely go for it. As far as the book set go, I've never sold a book set, especially that large, on Amazon. So I'm trying to figure out. You would have to pre-box them. And someone correct me maybe someone's done this. I would love if somebody's done this and they can correct me on this if I'm wrong. If I had a 39 book set, I would have to pre-box them in their own boxes. I doubt you can fit 39 books in one box and it'd be less than 50 pounds, like you said. So it would be multiple boxes, but you'd have to figure out a way to put sold as set stickers on there. I really hope someone else has a better answer that's maybe done that. Adam, thank you for reposting that. Yeah, StreamYard. No, I'm not a fan of that one. You got to highlight those super chats so we see them. Sorry, can't be there live. That's okay, Martin. Martin, we are still live. So you think you're watching the recording, but you're still live. Ah, there you go. So Justin brought up a good one. You can palletize it if it's multiple sets, because that's what I'm thinking of. You're putting 39 books in one box, because that would be easy to do. Just put them in one smaller box, put sold as set on there. But since you have 39, that's a few boxes, depending how big the books are. But that could be an option to palletize them if there's multiple sets. Encyclopedias, strap them, put them in one box, mark the box for team lift. That's another option there. Yeah, and I'm intrigued by that one because obviously people sell them as sets on Amazon, so I'm curious how they go about that. Direct email me. Maybe I can post this up in our groups and see if anyone has had experience with that and get back to you. Are books good during Q4? Everything's good during Q4. Now you got to sell stuff that's in demand, so you can't just be buying books that don't have ranks and expect them to sell. Getting tired. Sale. Everything will go good during Q4. Again, look at Keep a Charts. Keep a Charts. The cool thing with books is technically you get like 4 mini Q4 spikes if you're dealing with textbooks because of textbook season. But always look at the Keep a Chart and look at last Q4. Any product you look at and you're thinking, will it sell during this Q4? Look at last Q4 on that Keep a Chart and see if the sales increased, the price went up maybe. Martin is definitely going to be watching baseball. That's hilarious. All right, crew. We are past our time. I wish I could hang out here more with you guys, but we will be back in 1 week for another live Q&A sesh every single Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time here on the Side Hustle Network channel. Stay tuned because I've got a bunch of videos that are already recorded. I just need to sit down and edit them. Going to be posted up here on the actual YouTube channel so we can keep growing this thing, get you guys some good info, and give you a little bit of entertainment along the way. So aside from that, thank you for tuning in. Peace out, crew. Don't forget to hit the like button because if you like the video, just hit the like button. I'll give you a minute. No, really, you can do it right now. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Peace out.